Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear viewers, Assalamu alaikum. I am your host Faisal Raza Khan and you are watching Foresight. Viewers, after a long delay, at last United Nations Security Council adopted a resolution to have ceasefire in Gaza. With 14 votes in favor, while the United States abstained. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said that the resolution must be implemented, and he added that the failure to do so would be unforgivable. In the meanwhile, innocent Palestinians' genocide and ethnic cleansing continued at the hands of illegitimate state of Israel and its occupation forces as a result of Israeli atrocities. At least 32,623 Palestinians murdered, while 75,092 are critically injured, and at least or more than 12,000 are still missing. A report submitted on 25th of March 2024 into the UN Human Rights Council in Geneva, titled Anatomy of a Genocide, which stamped Israel's genocide in Gaza. Gaza facing worst kind of famine as well. 70% of the people suffering from severe food shortage, 20% of extreme famine. 2 people out of 10,000 are dying daily because of starvation. So far, 31 people died because of acute malnutrition and dehydration, including 27 children. On the other hand, International Court of Justice once again ordered unanimously to Israel to ensure food supplies to Gaza. But Israel has carved another 6 weeks horrible plan of bombing and ground assault at Rafah. It means that the lives of more than 1.5 million Palestinians in the last shelter city are at stake. To discuss this important issue, we have in our studios Brigadier retired Hamid Malik. He is the senior analyst. Most welcome to you, Brigadier Sahab. And Ms. Saira Ijaz, she is the analyst. Thank you very much. So nice of you for being here in the studios. My first question to you, Brigadier Sahab, that right now a situation is in turmoil. On one side, United Nations Security Council adopted a resolution to have ceasefire, but unfortunately Israel is not ready to adhere anything. No international law, no United Nations, no UN Charter, no human rights, nothing else. But they are starting a ground assault, and bombing is already going on, but the ground assault at Rafah. How do you see the situation?
First of all, we should see that from October till now, this is the first time that UN Security Council has been successful in getting the resolution passed, because in the past we have seen there were many failed attempts. And here also there are 2 important aspects of this resolution. One is the ceasefire, and that should be of permanent nature, and secondly also that there is no linkage of release of hostages with this ceasefire, because they have asked Israel especially and also for the Hamas that there should be a ceasefire and the food supply to the Palestinians should be ensured at priority. Here we need to understand that Israel is not only bombing and shelling Palestinians, Israel is using the food shortage as well as the medical and other amenities shortage as a war tool, as its strategy, as a coercion against Palestinians to add to their miseries, to at least defeat their will to fight or to stand for their right for the free Palestine, which is, I think, a bona fide right of all the Palestinians. Here I would like to pay tribute to you and as well as your management that Pakistan has so many news channels, but you are only keeping this issue close to your heart and projecting Pakistan's stance around the globe, and you are showing that Pakistan keeps Palestinian right on its forefront as its strategy for diplomatic relations.
Definitely we can't go away, because it's the question of humanity, it's the question of thousands of people who are suffering, millions of people who are suffering over there. So that's why it's very important. So when we are talking about the UN resolution, what about the Russian proposed amendment? That was not the ceasefire, but the permanent ceasefire, permanent sustainable ceasefire. So why it was rejected? Do you not think that it's again a favor to Israel?
Surely. And if we see that it is like that, because the absence of America while the United Security Council was almost unanimous for ceasefire between Israel and the Palestinians, especially the Hamas, the American absence shows a tacit approval to the genocide attempt by the Israel, which is, I think, very sorry state of affairs when we see the international community and especially the stance of America, because America is not only providing all the material and weapon support to Israel, it is also providing all diplomatic support to Israel also. And what we have seen in the Doha talks also, that because of the US not that support to Israel and their support not going veto against the resolution, the Israeli delegation has stepped out from that talks. And it also shows another aspect which the humanitarian...
It is because of the encouragement which the United States and the West provided to Israel.
And that is why the Israel is not...
When we are talking about, Saira, that there is a war of words going on between United States and Israel. So, do you think that it's just an eyewash, or having something serious between two, that whether United States had been serious because of their elections in the country to have something to carry forward regarding peace and ceasefire and to have a two-state solution?
I think that there is something serious because Biden administration is highly under pressure. It's for the very first time in the history of US, they are witnessing and they are seeing such reaction, not only from general public, but from within the Democrats, within the politicians. So I think we should take it from that angle. But again, this not giving and keeping mum on this passing, not using their veto right on and let the resolution pass again has double meanings, because at one point of time we can see that it shows that Biden is really not happy with the Netanyahu and the way he is not listening to the US stance, because US administration clearly restricted them not to bomb Rafah and stops bombing at least during holy month of Ramadan, but he didn't agree on that and he keeps bombing the Palestine and the Rafah and the West Bank. But on the other side, it's again shows that it shows the double standards. At one point they are, but they are not. On the very next day, the Secretary Blinken clearly stated that no, our sport, our military sport, which is the backbone and which is the reason behind all this war between Palestine and Israel, is the reason we are not going to stop that. So I think analysts are looking at it from very different perspectives, and but I think yes, now we will see that there will be now after this resolution, it has significant meaning, because now all the world has unanimously agreed on it, and I think now Israel will things will shape
your point
differently.
well taken. Brigadier Hamid, when we are talking about implementation of the resolution, and when Israel is not ready to adhere each and every law which is existing right now in the umbrella of international law, how do you see how it would be implemented, and whether over the last 5 to 6 months, do you not think that international system failed or going to be failed in that scenario?
I think if not failed, it had a serious challenge about its efficacy, about its how it is going to be implemented and how it is going to ensure peace and stability around the globe. And here what we see, that how the international orders or the international organs, how they work and implement the orders of this UN Security Council or of the United Nations under the ambit of a global community. There are certain measures. First is the diplomatic parleys and diplomatic estrangement, and then another is that trade embargoes, sanctions against that country, which force that country to pay heed to the international demands. And third is the physical intervention by itself. We have the peacekeeping operations and peace enforcement operations, that is the boots on ground.
Obviously.
But I think here the P5 would be of utmost importance, how they react and how they are going to implement this. Though there are Britain, France and America which would not like any forceful action to be taken against Israel, but I think China and Russia should be able to play now more active role, because now there is a special resolution which has been passed. And here I would also like to again quote and unquote what UN Secretary General said, that any failure will be unforgivable, not for UN, not for the other international institutions, but for the big powers also, and
Obviously.
especially for P5.
Obviously. Saira, a report submitted in the Human Rights Council, UN Human Rights Council in Geneva, and that titled An Anatomy of a Genocide. And that actually confirms that Israel committing genocide in Gaza. 3 out of 5 acts listed there in the UN Genocide Convention, those were violated and severely violated by Israel. So, how do you see these reports? Because these are the very blunt reports coming straight away.
And again, the point got linked again to the support of US to the Israel, military support and diplomatic support and all types of support, because it's a clear violation of international law. And history shows that US and Israel both are habitual of neglecting and all these and not paying any heed to the such resolutions. Now there is no second opinion about it. World knows about it. Even Israel knows about it. US knows about it. That they are committing war crimes there. And there is no, clearly they have refused to give aid to the UNRWA. They are cutting ties with the UNRWA, which shows that they really don't want to help those human beings. I'm not calling them Palestinians, they are human beings. And again, the very sad thing is that the use of AI, artificial intelligence, and social media by the Israel is very, very below the belt and is very negative.
Very unfortunate.
Is
really.
Very unfortunate, because they are showing making shawarmas and selling of shawarmas in Palestine, and the defense minister was saying that you guys are calling them so-called innocent people or starving people. Look, but they are posting such videos, which is very unfortunate. And I think now the Muslim world and the Palestinians and those who are with Palestinians, they should also look at this angle of war from this angle of using social media.
Yeah, definitely.
And AI.
It's very unfortunate
but
that
again,
Israel is
it's a
using
game
this
of
for,
power,
for distortion of the facts and to manipulate their ideas and all that. So, Brigadier Sir, when we are talking about the ceasefire resolution of the United Nations Security Council, on the other hand, Israel is trying to attack Rafah, and they are bombarding now, and this is the last shelter city for the Palestinians. At least more than 1.5 million of the Palestinians are living there. So they have carved a 6 weeks a horrible plan, and that is bombardment, along with that the ground assault. So how do you see that? Because they are not going to be stoppable, and whole of the world community is, till now, they are failed to stop Israel.
Here I would like to highlight that there has been a very false impression of self-defense, and actually the Rafah assault is going to uncover that truth about the blatant act of 175 days of barbaric action of Israel against the Palestinians and innocent and unarmed Palestinians.
Yes, unfortunately. Yes,
there is no Palestinian army which is going to defend those bereaved, injured, and I should say weak Palestinians from the barbaric acts of Israel. And the world also is keeping a blind eye. And this Rafah offensive, what it is going to basically announce for Israel and to the world, it is that the Palestine Raza Strip has been decimated by Israel. It is not only those human beings, it is basically that the idea of free Palestine, that the idea of two neighboring countries living peacefully with each other. And also we have to see it from not only from human crisis, the genocide which is taking place. ICJ has now confirmed that it is a genocide and case is there. And Israel has not been able to convince ICJ that it is not a genocide. And the Rafah offensive, what I think, where it is going to destroy the Gaza Strip
Actually,
completely, it is going to give
false
protection.
and fake submissions into the International Court of Justice. Israel want to actually disrupt whole of the case, but that is not the case really on that front. So, Palestinians, unfortunately, beside the bombardments, ground assaults and attacks on those innocent people, they are also facing a huge challenge, acute hunger and thirst, and along with that starvation and all that. So, Israel is actually using this thirst, hunger, disease, fatal injuries, open air, everything as a weapon of war.
Yeah.
So, how do you see that perspective?
From Geneva Convention and from the Human Rights Convention, about 30 of there under the UN ambit, none allows any armed forces to have it as its war strategy or have it as a tool of coercion by a country against another country. So, from that angle, morally, ethically and militarily, it is all to be taken as a war crime. And I think case is already there in ICJ, and ICJ and international community should declare that Netanyahu and all the military commander of Israel are committing war crime. And secondly, also what I want to highlight, that it is not the Palestinians or the Muslims, it is the, I must say, international community, the international organizations like WHO. They are saying that 2/3 of the hospitals, of 36 hospitals which were in Gaza, are non-functional, and those which are there are either minimally functioning or without any food and any substance to help the injured.
Saira, as Brigadier Sahib has said, that International Court of Justice has also just yesterday a unanimous order passed, and they have ordered Israel to ensure the food supplies to Gaza people. So ICJ has even lots of other orders as well in past, and unfortunately Israel has not implemented each and everything. So what would be the weightage of this order to be implemented in Gaza?
Actually, unfortunately, again, there apparently it shows that again, like past, Israel will not pay any heed to it, because the lacuna is that there is no such constitutional or legal binding point is there with the ICJ or World Court, in other case, to make sure and to make the country implement its order. It's written on, and so that lacuna, that absence of that point in the constitution of ICJ is the very basis of all this thing. But verbally it is when it was formed, and all the nations in the United Nations agreed to the formation of International Court of Justice and all that. But again, that lacuna was left there so that the powerful or the veto countries having veto powers can utilize that weakness in their favor. So I think that absence of that ruling regulation, or the that how ICJ can get it implemented its order, that's the main lacuna. So and for that reason they
obviously, and Brigadier, when United Nations Office of Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs confirmed that Israeli aid blockade left Palestinians in starvation. Gaza facing acute famine, hunger and thirst. At least 31 of the innocent people died, including 27 children. And estimates are that 2 out of 10,000 are dying daily. So this is going to be, this ratio is going to be higher in coming days, unfortunately, if the appropriate steps would not be taken by the international community. What's stopping them?
Actually, what we have seen, that the old maxim, might is right, is still prevalent in this world. Those we say that we are very refined, very mature, very humane, but at the same time, that old maxim is still driving the poor, still driving the weak by the oppressor. And here also, now this has become a point where now the world community need to realize that the human rights need to be respected, need to be protected, and it is also a sort of genocide what we have seen that on 7 October, there was a very small attack by Hamas, and that was also actually when they have been pushed to the war. But in response, on the fake pretext of self-defense, complete Gaza Strip is being occupied by Israel, which is not justified, which is not proportionate to what happened to them. Self-defense need to be proportionate. And now, apart from bombing and shelling of the ambulances, shelling on the hospitals, shelling on the aid camps, shelling on the refugee camps, this is not humanity, this is not self-defense.
Obviously, inhumanities and atrocities going on.
And we are again seeing Genghis Khan, and we are again seeing the story of the Hitlers, and the world is mum. I think this is a challenge for not only international community, but for all around the globe, all those who love humans, who have some respect for human rights, who have some respect for human liberty, and for the protection of humans.
Yeah, definitely, you are absolutely right. Saira, when we are talking about humanitarian situation in Gaza particularly, as 1 in 6 children facing acute malnutrition, dehydration, 60,000 pregnant women needs emergency assistance. Every month, 5,000 or 180 women per day give birth in dangerous situation. So, how do you see as a woman, how do you see this situation?
Literally, it's very hard to control my emotions, because I was even crying in the morning after watching such horrible videos, because I am also a mother of 2 kids, so I can feel the pain of those parents who are seeing their kids dying in front of them and dying because of hunger. And we don't forget those children and those people, and particularly those kids. Like it's a very common thing that in the young aged kids get used to, and they get anemic, they get minor bacterial or viral infections somehow, because in the early age kids are not very much conscious about hygienic things, and so they suffer from, and we experience this usually. So what about those kids who are already under some treatment, under some bacterial or viral infections, or who were before 7th of October, they were anemic or suffering from some sort of disease. Now they are about to die. I was like watching a video of a mother, and she was crying, and her 10-12 years old girl was like just like a skeleton, because she was telling that she was already an anemic girl, my girl, and I have nothing nutritious for the last 5 months to give her. So she is about to die, and she was crying. I don't know what people is looking for. Actually, the problem is that to get their own strategic and political objectives, they have labeled all the Palestinians terrorists. They are saying that we are bombing this hospital,
this
or
was
this,
the
residential building.
There
might be some Hamas soldiers, or the Hamas group will be there. So they use this justification for this horrible crime. But I tell you that this whole scenario is very fastly pushing us towards a very new different scenario, if not now to the 3rd World War, but definitely soon we will see that there will be drastic changes, because now these are the time of World War I and II were different. Okay. At that time there was no social media, there was no AI sort of things, things were not changing at this fast pace.
Okay. Saira, your point well taken. When we are talking about Brigadier Sahib, Israel done worst crimes against humanity, and ethnic cleansing, swear Holocaust, which you were actually pointing out earlier. Would there be any punishment for Israel, armed embargoes, or might be the economic sanctions or trade sanctions, or complete immunity given to Israel right now? So do you think that there must have to be some sort of measures against Israel?
Honestly, it should be, because what we see on ground, that such a systematic genocide against innocent Palestinians must stop, and that it should be considered a war crime. And ICJ's, I think, decision should be implemented. What they are saying, that it is some sort of genocide, and that case need to be pursued. And I am happy that South Africa has approached ICJ. And I think there are so many evidences available to the international community, to ICJ, to blame Israel for all these war crimes or this Holocaust. And what is Rafah offensive again? It will be a repeat of the barbaric action what we have witnessed in the last 175 days. And I don't see that how we are going to achieve that is another question. And I think with the transformation of the world, that when the multipolarity will be there, when the supremacy of the USA will be challenged, of Europe will be challenged, and I think when the global south is going to take power in its own hand, I think all these war crimes will be taken seriously and all the defaulters, the criminals, they will be punished. We have to keep some patience, but logically all these war crimes, like now we see Hitler is banished. Genghis Khan is not spoken in very good words, and I think history is going to show to the people in future that Israel barbaric acts will be condemned universally.
Saira, when we are talking about Biden administration, right now it seems that Biden administration lost its credibility. There are the policies which are favoring actually Israel rejected by the common people in America. Like recent Gallup poll which came, that suggests 55% of overall American population is against Biden policies in favoring Israel. While 75% of the Democrat supporters are actually against Israeli actions in Gaza.
Yeah.
So how do you see that?
Actually, that's what I was mentioning earlier as well. The times have changed now, and now this Nakba should be stopped. It's not the 40s, 50s, 60s when there was a concept of controlled democracy, media was not that vibrant, technology was not there, which so I think these powers need to understand this thing, that now this humanity is going through different times. So it's not easy to maneuver things anyhow, but it is too late. So much damage has been done to the Palestinians, but still I think there should be a realization that this thing cannot be linger on for so long. And we have seen in the form of, as I mentioned earlier, that not using the right of veto in the 25th March resolution, it shows the pressure, it shows the change of mind, it shows the political and strategic influence on Biden administration. So I think soon we will see other developments as well in this regard.
So Brigadier Sahab, do you think that Israel from day one wants this Gaza enclave? As right from the first day of invasion, we have seen that it was done with total impunity, and now they are entering into last stronghold, that is Rafah, and Israel wanted overall the total Palestinian land for Israel, and Israel want no Palestine. So do you think so that this was the plan, and it was right in the that the West knows that what is happening and what is going to be happening?
I think more people are actually working hand in glove with Israel's master plan and a strategic move. What actually they did, that they antagonized the Palestinian, the Hamas, and then they used that trap to go for a full scale offensive based on their military might which they have for the occupation of Gaza. And I think you are very right to say that the actual plan was the occupation of Gaza because of its mineral resources available there. And what we see now, that it is not the self-defense, it is not action against the terrorism, it is not targeted. Actually, they are not targeting the terrorists or so-called the Hamas fighters. They are actually going for the genocide. They are killing the starving Palestinian. They are killing the injured Palestinian, which are innocent civilians. They are not armed. So from that perspective, what we see, it is not self-defense at all, and it has a strategic mindset that they need to flush out Palestinians from their land. They need to establish a greater Israel. And what we see, it is not toward Gaza only, toward West Bank also. See what they are doing. They are targeting the people in West Bank also. They are killing the
Definitely have
Palestinian
new
West Bank
settlements
also.
over there. They are,
Yes.
the settlers are entering into West Bank, and they are killing with free hand.
Yeah, with immunity, with impunity, what we see. And then we also see that Muslim Ummah, the Muslim country, neighboring countries, they are trying to contain that conflict, but they are targeting Lebanon also.
Yeah, definitely. But
The Hezbollah also,
we are receiving
that
the
they
news
want
that,
a proliferation.
Israeli airstrike in Syria as well,
Yes.
where more than 40 people actually died. Some of them belongs to the Syrian army. And then also in Lebanon, they
Yes,
attacked in Lebanon as well.
Hezbollah, they are
so,
targeting
do you
Hezbollah.
think that after this tragic episode of Gaza, they are trying to move on towards the Arab lands?
I think that would be their greater plan. And if the world community doesn't react and the Muslim countries around, they don't take heed to that and they go for their own self-defense, because the greater plan is that the Israel need to expand. And they feel that by having that military might and support of the only power presently in the world, that is America, and some tacit approval of the European community, they want that all opposition around them, that the Palestinians should be flushed out, and like Jordan and Syria and even Egypt, they want all these countries to be captured and made part of the Israel, so that in Middle East only power to reckon is Israel, and no Muslim country has any say or any objection to whatever rule Israel established in Middle East.
So, Saira, when we are talking about, as we know that Israel is committing genocide, ethnic cleansing, the war crimes, atrocities in Gaza, and everything, whatever possible by the brutal Israeli regime and the illegitimate state of Israel and its occupation forces. But what about, do you think that this genocide license which was given to Israel by the West is going to be stopped anywhere, and there would be some sort of justice for the Palestinians as well? Because we always heard about that justice delayed, justice denied, but in this case it seems justice died.
Yes, so true, but and history also tells us the same thing, that always you have to snatch your right first of all, or in other case circumstances, situations, they just turn around in sometimes in one's favor and sometimes against you. So I think in this case justice will never be given, because this is unjustified thing which is going on. So how could we expect from Israel and from the West or from the US that they would ever accept the or even ready to listen to the next second opinion or the other parties concerns? So I think in international relations and the world system, things are very much dependent on circumstances, on incidents, on events. So we should be hopeful, and we should keep striving. Media's role, be it activists' role, be it the policy makers, be it the politicians, they all have to play their role, so that at the earliest possible there could be some way out could be seen, because they have, or the Israel, Netanyahu very categorically said that they will never ever go for two-state solution. So I think, but again simultaneously there are very sane voices within the US Senate and the US politicians and within the current regime of Israel as well, that they are started raising voice against the extremist mindset of Netanyahu and his partners or his
accomplices.
Yes.
Definitely.
So
And
I think we should be hopeful, but in this case justice would have been snatched, or wait for some other mega event or incident which could actually turn the tables. And
definitely. So, Brigadier Sir, when we are talking about the ceasefire in near future, any sort of a possibility of having that, the peace in Gaza, in West Bank, and overall in Palestine, there is a part of negotiation going on in Doha, Qatar. So, UN Special Coordinator for the Middle East peace process, Tor Winsland, he is very much hopeful that there would be a ceasefire, there would be a negotiation ended with an amicable solution on both sides. Do you think that there would be something?
I hope that there should be some headway for the ceasefire, and that too of permanent nature. It should not be temporary for few days. And here also we need to also know that Israel's immature response and their delegations headstrong response that they will only talk about the release of the hostages and they are not going to confirm a permanent ceasefire between Israel and between the Palestinians. I think these are the issues which need to be addressed to make Doha talks purposeful, objective and successful. Being optimistic and being human rights activists world around, we should pray and hope that the Israeli delegation is going to pay heed to the international community's demand and hopes that through the talks between Hamas and also between the Israeli delegation, a headway is going to take place. There is going to be some ceasefire of permanent nature between Israel and then also the release of hostages.
The problem is that it's Israel which is the linchpin, and the problem is that every time whenever there would be a negotiation or talks between the parties, and lots of countries tried their best, like in Egypt there were one round, there were 2-3 rounds in Qatar as well. Unfortunately, it's Israel which is always creating hurdles in those negotiations, and they don't want it because they want a delay. They are using delaying tactics to have those objectives fulfilled what they want actually. So, do you think this is the scenario?
This is the scenario because what their military might is going to dictate to them, that they want that because of their military might against the unprepared, unarmed Palestinian, they should just bulldoze that. And what we have seen recently, that the 2 innocent Palestinians, they were shot and then their bodies were bulldozed off from that place. This is their mindset, and they are also using these talks to buy time. So that whatever the military has not been able to achieve till now, it should achieve, and what is next is the Rafah offensive. And what we see that right on the table, they are buying time, and on the other hand they are going to complete their 6-week offensive in Rafah, and what will left with the Palestinians then?
Definitely.
Nothing to bargain at, nothing to achieve. And I think here the world power need to understand, especially America need to understand, because of the tacit approval of America, Israelis all playing these dirty tricks with the unprepared Palestinians.
And Saira, what do you think that what is needed direly right now?
I think we should, and the entire Muslim countries and even those countries who have this realization of gross violation of human rights and the genocide being conducted by the Israel, they should keep raising their voices. And I think the passing of this resolution is the sign of that thing, that world is at it and this issue is at radar. And I think we at all levels and all the pillars, like be it media, be it the government, be it the social activists, everybody should keep raising this issue of Palestine, and inshallah soon hope we will see that something positive.
What the Muslim countries and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, what they have to do right now, because their part is very important to solve this issue, particularly to have 2-state solutions, which Israel don't want right now.
Up till now, what we have seen, that they have shown their diplomatic support to the Palestinians, and especially Pakistan, I must say, has shown very strong voice against Israelis' brutalities against the Palestinian, and it has shown its diplomatic as brotherly support, moral support to the Palestinians. And I think presently, after the passing of UN Security Council resolutions, now the Muslim Ummah has got a bona fide support against Israel. And I think the action is going to start from the diplomatic, I think, pressure on Israel, going up to the trade embargo, because a lot of oil is going to Israel from the Muslim countries. And also, I think last step should be the physical support and protection of the Palestinians. So these are different tiers. And I think Muslim Ummah should presently at the first tier, that they should show now their diplomatic pressure on Israel, and they should also assure the world that they should go and support Palestinian and should also pressurize Israel to stop brutalities against innocent Palestinians.
Yeah, definitely. It is very important. Thank you very much, Brigadier Retired Hamid Rashid Malik, for your presence here in the studios. Thank you very much, Saira Ijaz, for being here. Viewers, as our panelists suggested, and it is the voice of whole of the humanity, that whatever the brutalities, genocide, war crimes going on in Gaza and even West Bank at the hands of illegitimate state of Israel and its occupation forces must have to end. And along with that, international system, if not failed, it's crippling. It's at the verge of collapse. So international system must have to act now, because it is the question that if impunity be given straight away to an illegitimate state, it is going to be a precedent in future as well. That must have to be stopped. Then it is important to take action against Israel, its war crimes, and those who were responsible for those war crimes must have to be punished. The genocide machine must have to be stopped here, because it's the question of humanity, it's the question of innocent Palestinians who have their land, and Israel wants to snatch that. This is all today's Foresight. It's time to sign off. Allah Hafiz.